The sky has revealed sights far stranger than what you see now, and you're about to witness them. Imagine looking up at the sky and seeing a perfect black ring hovering in mid-air, drifting silently as if it's alive. No sound, no clear source, just a massive dark halo floating eerily above the ground. These bizarre smoke rings have been caught on camera around the world, over amusement parks, highways, and even quiet rural towns. Some say they look like portals, others think they're signs of UFO activity, but what are they really? Scientists argue that these rings are nothing more than industrial exhaust patterns, the result of an explosion or a smokestack malfunction. Yet, in many cases there are no visible sources nearby that could have created them. No factories, no fireworks, no explanations. Similar rings have been seen in the UK, USA, and Russia, each time leaving behind more questions than answers. Some researchers speculate that these could be plasmoids, self-sustaining rings of plasma that form under rare atmospheric conditions. Others whisper about secret military technology, possibly some kind of aerial cloaking device being tested. And then there are those who believe these rings are extraterrestrial in nature, a signature of something arriving or departing. One thing is certain, whatever is creating these black rings is keeping its secrets locked away in the sky. For decades, mysterious triangular-shaped objects have been silently gliding through the night skies. No flashing lights, no roaring engines, just massive dark pyramids hovering above cities, deserts, and military bases. Witnesses report seeing them moving slowly, defying gravity, then vanishing in an instant. The most famous of these encounters? The Pyramid UFO over the Pentagon in 2018, filmed from multiple angles. A huge, dark triangle hung over one of the most secure locations on Earth, and no official explanation followed. Skeptics rush to label them as military aircraft, perhaps the legendary TR-3B, a top-secret spy plane. But if that's the case, why are they being spotted in remote villages and forests, far from any classified testing zones? Some witnesses claim these objects are completely silent, unlike any known aircraft. Pilots who've encountered them in mid-flight describe bizarre electromagnetic interference, with their instruments malfunctioning when the triangular crafts come too close. Could they be something beyond human technology? And then there's the strangest part. Many of these sightings happen before major cosmic events, as if these objects are drawn to disruptions in space. Which brings us to something even more puzzling. A bizarre light show that once turned the entire sky into a swirling, hypnotic vortex. It started with a single bright dot in the sky. Then without warning it expanded into a perfect glowing spiral, twisting and pulsing over the horizon. For a few breathtaking minutes it looked like a gateway opening above the Earth, before suddenly fading into darkness. This was the Norway Spiral of 2009, one of the most famous and unexplained sky anomalies ever recorded. Officially, experts chalk it up to a failed Russian missile test, the result of a spiraling exhaust trail in the upper atmosphere. But even some scientists admit, something doesn't add up. The shape was too perfect, the glow too even. And besides, similar spirals have since appeared over China, Australia, and the USA, with no reported missile tests nearby. What else could cause such a colossal rotating pattern in the sky? Some speculate it's an unknown atmospheric phenomenon, perhaps a plasma vortex interacting with Earth's magnetic field. Others lean toward more unconventional explanations, an experiment gone wrong, an energy field opening, or something even stranger. But here's where things get even weirder. In a remote valley in Norway, a place already known for its eerie sky anomalies, strange lights have been appearing for decades. Unlike the spirals, these floating orbs seem to have a mind of their own. Deep in a quiet valley in Norway, something strange is happening in the night sky. Glowing orbs, sometimes white, sometimes yellow, or even blue, float above the hills, darting through the air like they have intelligence. They hover, flicker, vanish, then reappear miles away in an instant. Locals in Hessdalen have been watching these lights for decades. Some say they move too smoothly to be man-made, too unpredictably to be natural. Scientists have been trying to explain them for years. Some believe they're plasma balls caused by the region's unique geology, as underground metals interact with groundwater. Others suggest electromagnetic anomalies, where energy from the Earth itself creates ghostly spheres of light. But even with all the theories, no one can fully explain why these lights appear so consistently, or why they seem to react to human presence. What's even more unsettling, the lights behave differently each time they appear. Some hover silently for minutes, others shoot across the valley at impossible speeds. People who've gotten close say their electronic devices glitch or completely shut down, as if an unseen force is at work. Could these lights be a natural phenomenon still beyond our understanding? Or could they be something watching us, something not of this earth? On a quiet afternoon in 1876, in the small town of Olympian Springs, Kentucky, something horrifying happened. Without warning, chunks of raw meat began falling from the sky, covering an area about 100 yards long and 50 yards wide. Pieces of what looked like beef or mutton rained down on the farm of a local woman, Mrs. Crouch, who stood frozen in disbelief. There were no storms, no explosions, just blue skies and a rain of flesh. People rushed to collect the mysterious meat, with some even tasting it to determine what it was. One described it as venison, another as lamb, but no one could figure out where it came from. Scientists later analyzed the samples and found that the meat was likely lung tissue from a horse or human. The most accepted theory? A flock of vultures had vomited mid-flight, dropping partially digested flesh onto the ground. But here's the problem. Vultures typically regurgitate as a defense mechanism, not in coordinated waves over one specific spot. And even if they did, why was there no trace of bones, skin, or feathers? To this day, no one can fully explain the Kentucky meat shower. A bizarre natural event? A freak accident involving unseen forces, or something even stranger? Imagine standing in a quiet field looking up and seeing a fully intact World War II-era aircraft flying overhead. Low, silent, and eerily detailed. Now imagine watching it vanish into thin air just before it reaches the ground. That's exactly what dozens of people have reported in the hills of Derbyshire, England. These phantom planes appear out of nowhere, flying just above treetop level, as if preparing to land or crash, but they never do. They simply disappear. This isn't a one-time event. The sightings have been happening for decades, always in the same regions, places that, interestingly enough, are near historic World War II crash sites. Official records confirm that over 50 military planes went down in the area during the war. Some believe these ghost planes are residual energy, echoes from the past replaying like a loop, but others aren't so sure. Some witnesses claim these planes don't just look old, they behave strangely, with no noise, no contrails, and impossible flight paths. Skeptics suggest misidentified modern aircraft, optical illusions, or weather-related mirages. But that doesn't explain why trained pilots and aviation experts have reported the same ghostly encounters. And here's the most unsettling part: several people claim to have seen the same plane more than once, always flying the same path, always disappearing at the exact same spot. A time slip? A break in reality? Or could the skies above Derbyshire be holding on to something the past refuses to let go of? A thunderstorm rolls in, the sky flashes white, thunder rumbles, and then, something impossible happens. A glowing orb of fire emerges, hovering in the air like a floating sun. It moves silently, drifts unpredictably, and then vanishes with a loud pop. This is ball lightning, one of the strangest and most debated weather phenomena in history. Unlike regular lightning, ball lightning doesn't strike. It lingers, rolling along the ground, floating through windows, even entering buildings without leaving a mark. Some have seen it hovering over water, while others claim it follows power lines as if it has a mind of its own. One of the most famous accounts comes from a Russian village in 1978, where a glowing orb entered a home, circled a terrified family, and then exploded, leaving burn marks on the walls but no major damage. How is that even possible? Scientists have tried to explain it. Some say it's burning plasma, others believe it's ionized air reacting with electromagnetic fields. But here's the problem. No one has ever fully recreated ball lightning in a lab. It comes and goes at random, appearing in storms, deserts, and sometimes with no weather activity at all. Could it be some kind of unknown energy? Or an atmospheric trick that only happens under rare and unexplored conditions? One thing is certain, it defies our understanding of electricity. And strangely, it's not the only time the sky has behaved in a way that no one can explain. It should have been a normal spring morning. The sun should have risen, the birds should have sung. But on May 19, 1780, something went horribly wrong. The sky darkened without warning, plunging New England into an unnatural night. By noon it was so dark that people needed candles to see. The air smelled of burnt earth, the animals panicked, and in some towns the darkness was so thick that ink wouldn't dry on paper. The cause? Even today, it's not completely understood. Some historians believe massive forest fires in Canada sent thick clouds of smoke into the upper atmosphere. Others suggest a volcanic event or even a meteor impact that released fine particles into the air. But the strangest thing? The darkness didn't behave like normal smoke. It lasted for hours, moved unevenly across the region and blocked out even candlelight in some areas. Religious panic spread fast. Some believed the world was ending, others feared it was a divine warning. And here's the eerie part: some of the same areas affected by the dark day of 1780 later reported strange glowing phenomena in the night sky, as if something unnatural had been released into the atmosphere. Could this event have triggered something we still don't fully understand? Or was it merely a rare but explainable weather event that just felt apocalyptic? Either way, it remains one of the most unsettling atmospheric mysteries in history. We all know lightning strikes down, but what if there was a kind of lightning that did the opposite, shooting up into space, creating towering blue explosions in the upper atmosphere? Meet sprites and blue jets, two of the most mysterious and least understood forms of lightning ever recorded. Sprites look like massive red jellyfish flashing above thunderstorms in quick bursts. They can be hundreds of miles wide, yet invisible to the human eye from the ground. Meanwhile, blue jets shoot up like glowing spears, racing from storm clouds into the stratosphere. They happen so fast that for centuries they were thought to be hallucinations, until pilots started seeing them regularly. But here's where things get truly strange. Unlike normal lightning, sprites and blue jets aren't caused by typical electrical discharges. Some theories suggest they're connected to cosmic rays from deep space, interacting with Earth's atmosphere in ways we don't yet understand. Others think they're part of a hidden energy system that operates above our storms, creating electrical forces we have barely begun to study. What's even more bizarre, sprites and blue jets might not be as rare as we think. We just don't usually look in the right places. Satellites have picked up thousands of these mysterious discharges every year, suggesting that above every thunderstorm, there could be an entire hidden light show happening just beyond our sight. A hidden layer of energy in the sky? What else could be lurking just beyond the clouds? You're walking along the shore, staring out at the horizon, when something impossible appears. A city skyline floating above the ocean, skyscrapers, towers, entire buildings, hanging in the sky, shimmering like a ghostly metropolis. You blink, but it's still there. And then just as quickly as it came, it disappears. This is Fata Morgana, an optical illusion so bizarre that it's fueled legends for centuries. Sailors once believed they were seeing portals to lost lands, and some even thought they were glimpsing the future. Today, science tells us that these floating cities are caused by light bending through layers of air with different temperatures, creating a mirage that distorts distant objects. But here's the eerie part: some of these mirages appear with no visible source. There are reports of mountain ranges appearing in the middle of the ocean, ships floating upside down, and even phantom islands that don't exist on any map. And then, there's the case of China's floating city. In 2015, residents of Jiangxi and Foshan recorded a perfectly detailed city skyline hovering in the sky, complete with buildings and lights. Experts dismissed it as a mirage, but the problem? The skyline didn't match any known city nearby. Could these mirages be more than just optical tricks? Could they be glimpses of places that exist beyond our reality? And if entire cities can float in the sky, what other atmospheric mysteries might be hiding just above our heads? Not all sky anomalies vanish in an instant. Some stretch for miles, rolling endlessly through the sky in a way that seems almost unnatural. Meet the morning glory clouds, long cylindrical formations that move like massive waves stretching up to 600 miles across and rolling at speeds of 35 miles per hour. They look like something out of science fiction, but they're completely real. Morning glory clouds are most commonly seen in Australia's Gulf of Carpentaria, where they appear like clockwork every spring, but no one fully understands why. Scientists believe they form due to a rare combination of temperature, wind patterns, and pressure systems, but the conditions that create them are so specific that they almost never happen anywhere else on Earth. Even stranger, pilots who have flown through these clouds say they behave more like a solid wave than a gas, creating turbulence so strong it can lift or drop an aircraft like a surfer riding a tsunami. Local Aboriginal legends speak of these clouds as the breath of the rainbow serpent, a supernatural force sweeping across the land. Some meteorologists even think morning glory clouds could exist on other planets, forming in alien atmospheres where conditions are right. But the biggest mystery? The fact that despite years of research, no one can predict exactly when or where one will form, only that when it does, it moves with an eerie, unstoppable force. It started as a few distant lights in the sky. Then, within minutes, thousands of people across Phoenix, Arizona were watching one of the largest UFO sightings in history. It was March 13, 1997, when a massive V-shaped formation of glowing orbs silently drifted over the city, moving so slowly that people had time to call their families, grab cameras, and watch in stunned silence as the lights passed overhead. For 3 hours, the lights were reported from Nevada to Mexico, seen by pilots, police officers, and even the Arizona governor. But the strangest part, the lights weren't just floating randomly, they moved in perfect formation, maintaining an exact distance from one another. Some witnesses described the object as one solid craft, miles wide, while others saw individual orbs moving independently. The military later claimed the lights were flares dropped by aircraft, but that explanation didn't match what so many people had seen. Years later, the Phoenix Lights remain a mystery. Was it an advanced military test, a naturally occurring atmospheric phenomenon, or was something truly unidentified moving through the night sky? What's undeniable is that the event was too massive, too well documented, and too eerie to ignore. And when it comes to unexplained sky events, sometimes the simplest looking ones can be the strangest of all. For most people, the setting sun fades into red, then orange, and finally disappears over the horizon. But for a lucky few, something incredible happens in that final second before it vanishes. A brilliant green flash bursts into view, a neon glow that lasts just a heartbeat before vanishing completely. It's called the green flash, and while science tells us it's caused by atmospheric refraction separating the sun's colors, it still feels like something out of a dream. This fleeting phenomenon is so rare that many people go their whole lives without ever seeing it. Sailors used to believe it was a sign of good luck, or even a message from the gods. But here's the odd part. Some green flashes last longer than others. While most appear for less than a second, there are cases where the flash lingers, glowing like an emerald for several seconds before fading. What could cause that? Some scientists suggest it has to do with layers of warm and cool air in the atmosphere bending light just the right way. But others wonder if there could be something else at play, something we haven't fully uncovered yet. After all, the sky holds many secrets, and sometimes the more we learn, the more questions we uncover. For years, people have spotted eerie purple and green ribbons of light streaking across the sky, glowing even when the aurora borealis is nowhere in sight. At first, scientists didn't know what to make of them. The phenomenon looked like auroras, but it appeared in places where auroras shouldn't form, stretching across latitudes too far south, sometimes even in clear night skies. Witnesses described these bands as floating rivers of light, shimmering, pulsing, and moving like they had a mind of their own. Eventually, researchers gave the phenomenon a name, STEVE, or strong thermal emission velocity enhancement. While it's believed to be caused by charged particles interacting with Earth's magnetic field, its exact nature is still unknown. The problem? Unlike auroras, STEVE doesn't behave predictably. It appears without warning, lasts for minutes, and then disappears completely, leaving no trace. Could this be a new kind of atmospheric energy we don't fully understand yet? Or is something else lighting up the sky in ways we're only just beginning to notice? On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a massive explosion flattened over 800 square miles of forest in a remote part of Siberia. Trees were knocked down like matchsticks, and a shockwave was felt hundreds of miles away. But there was no crater, no impact site, just a blasted wasteland where something had detonated high above the ground. Scientists believe the event was caused by a meteor or comet exploding in the atmosphere, releasing as much energy as 1,000 Hiroshima bombs. But here's where things get weird. No fragments of a meteor were ever found. Some eyewitnesses reported a blinding blue light streaking across the sky, followed by a pulse of heat so intense it scorched their skin, before the fireball vanished without a trace. And then there are the reports of strange glowing skies across Europe in the nights following the explosion. Was this really just a natural impact event, or was something else at play? Something we're still struggling to explain over a century later. As darkness falls, a strange sight appears in the sky. Glowing clouds, electric blue and wispy, hanging at the edge of space. Unlike normal clouds, these don't form at low altitudes. They hover over 50 miles up, in a part of the atmosphere where water shouldn't even exist. These are noctilucent clouds. and they seem to be increasing in both frequency and brightness. What makes them even more mysterious is how little we understand about them. Scientists believe they form from tiny ice crystals, but why are they becoming more common? Some think they're linked to climate changes. Others suggest they could be signs of unknown atmospheric shifts. And then there's the strange electric glow. Could these clouds be reacting to forces we don't yet fully understand? Whatever the cause, they remain one of the most beautiful and unexplained sky anomalies seen in modern times. You glance up at the sky and notice something strange, a perfectly circular hole in the clouds, as if a piece of the sky has been cut out. Inside there's nothing but clear blue surrounded by a ring of wispy vapor. This is a fall streak hole, also known as a hole punch cloud, and while science says they're caused by sudden temperature changes, freezing water droplets, that explanation doesn't sit right with everyone. Some of these holes appear too symmetrical, almost too perfect to be natural. In recent years, bizarre theories have surfaced, some suggesting these could be evidence of energy disturbances in the atmosphere, even experimental aircraft breaking through unseen barriers. Could fall streak holes be a byproduct of something we don't yet understand? Or are they simply another reminder that the sky still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered? The sky is full of strange and unexplained events, lights that move on their own, clouds that glow, and objects that shouldn't be there. Science has answers for some, but others remain mysteries. Whether natural or something else, these phenomena remind us that we still have a lot to uncover. That's about it. Write in the comments which phenomenon impressed you the most. For more useful information, watch other videos.